Hey guys, we are back and we are live. Welcome back to VM Nation. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Today's going to be an amazing episode. If you ever want to start, it's 2022 as we're recording it. It's the 14th. So a lot of people are still doing New Year's resolutions. Maybe you want to get your financial house in order, maybe purchasing a home. So we're going to be talking about all things finances and all things real estate. But guys, I want to thank our sponsors. As you guys know, the show is sponsored 100% veterans 100% of the time. So I want to thank our sponsor, Kurt Balish of Balish Woodworks. If you guys love handmade woodworks in your business or your office, definitely check out balishwoodworks.com. My wife actually has a cutting board I got for her for Mother's Day. It's the only thing she'll use. So definitely check out balishwoodwork.com. And also my friend Tammy Moses has a company called The Hoarding Solution. A lot of people don't realize that we have a hoarding issue in this country. And she helps people that are in the hoard get out of it. So she's actually changing the world one home at a time. So if you know anybody that's struggling with hoarding issues, definitely check out Tammy Moses at thehoardingsolution.com. Guys, this is going to be fun. Brother, what's going on, Kenny? What's going on? How is your day going?
My day is going fabulous. It's a beautiful day outside, beautiful day inside, a lot of great things going on. Life is good.
Now, where are you from? Where do you live?
I live just outside Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, nice area. It's gorgeous. My cousin just is building a house out there. And a lot of people don't know, I was in the health and fitness industry for over 30 years, that the majority of our supplement companies in the world are in Utah. And a lot of people don't even realize that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun little nuggets that even I don't even know still about Utah.
So now tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what kind of kid you were growing up, and how did you get involved in the whole world of finances?
So, growing up, I'm living about 10 miles away from where I was born and raised, so didn't go too far. Growing up, my parents were entrepreneurs off and on and business owners and stuff, so I've always had that entrepreneur business bug growing up, and just took years to find what I was truly passionate about. I've done this business, had this job and stuff, and it just kind of going through the motion and what people say, you should do this, you'd be great at this, you need a constant job and a steady paycheck, and just kind of following all of those leads and stuff until about 6 years ago when I finally was able to start narrowing down what truly lit my fire, lit my passion. And then that's serving people, and one of the ways that I do that is through financial services and mentorship. And my wife's cousin introduced us to the opportunity, and that's kind of how I got involved in the particular company I'm with. And I just kind of clicked and things fell into place, and here we are.
Okay, so now, like I said, for me, I'm retired military, and when I got out after 23 years, my financial situation, I was just in a big shit show. Because they say if you're in the military and do 20 years, if you didn't go through a divorce, have a DUI, or get arrested at least once or twice, or a bankruptcy, then you didn't have a good military career. And a lot of people have gone through that same thing. And when they get out, not only do they lose their career, but they lose their income. And then sometimes, like, we're involved in like some of the military financial programs. And then when we get out, we're like, now what do I do? Where do I go? So how does somebody that's just, transitioning out of the military or going to transition out of the military, what are some of the things that you recommend that they should do even before they get out of the military?
Couple of things that I would start with is, one, figure out what your plan is. If you want to start a business, you want to go into a job, you want to stay retired, what is the goal you're looking for? And then two, I think might even be more important than that is, where are you really at? Now I have a saying, are you honest or are you Instagram honest? Because on the outside it's all glitz and glamour and life's grand and you're driving a Ferrari or wherever, blah blah blah. But deep down you got $100,000 of debt and credit cards and stuff. So where are you really at? And then if you know where you're at, you know where point A is, you know where point B is, then we have something to work with. Then you have something to shoot for. And that's the two places that I would really start, and then just reach out to whoever. If you got somebody that you already know in finances, somebody that's doing what you want to do or better, or kind of along those same lines.
All right, so now I'm going to ask, because I'm not about to get sued, so I'm just going to say, there's a gentleman out there. I've actually went through some of his courses and I learned a lot from. But he talks about, paying off all your credit cards and not going into debt, even for business debt. But then there's other people out there. I'm having Miss Sharon Lecter on the show next week. She actually was co-author Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I had to kind of dust off some of those books. And they were talking about how sometimes you have to go into debt to buy houses, to buy apartment buildings and stuff like that. So, talk about good debt and bad debt.
So the way I look at it and stuff, again, going with what your goal is. If your goal is to buy a house, then let's work on that. But, if your goal is to get out of debt or to pay off your house or something, or if, let's say, your goal is to go on vacation, don't go rack up your credit card or spend that money on something that's not in your goal, So stick with what your goal is. If your goal is over here, then work on someone that's going to help you along those goals. Like you're saying, this person talks about this route and this person's talking about this route, what's lining up with your goal. But, good debt is something that's going to bring you value, going to have a return on investment. If let's say college, for example, that's often a one we use for an example of potential good debt. If the value and return is there and it's aligned with what you want and where your course is taking you, then that could be considered good debt. But if, $100,000 on a trip to somewhere and you're going on yachts and you're having lobster every night and things like that, may not be the best of good debt.
And, I love something that you said earlier when you talk about, that Instagram fame. A couple years ago, I think ever since, like my friend Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about that, social media, you will get found out eventually. So, if a couple years ago you're taking pictures, taking selfies in front of mansions and Lambos, and now you're living in mom's basement, so, you try to become Instagram famous, but it's not the real deal. And I think a lot of people, money, like for me growing up, money was a taboo subject. It was not talked about at the kitchen table. I didn't know how to balance a checking account until I bounced checks. So talk to us about, money being a very personal issue. And I think, the biggest causes of some of divorces is money. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So, yeah, there's a statistic out there, and I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but roughly like 80% of divorces are caused by money. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's somewhere right in that range. 50 to 80% is money related. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere in there. So it's a staggering high statistic. But something that people do is they place value incorrectly on money. They become a servant to money, if you will. I just used this demonstration before. I've got some play money that I use for training purposes and things like that. It's the same material essentially. as a sticky note that I took some notes on. But it's because we place the value on it, and how much value do we use it. And then also, people don't see it as a tool. They think it's, something to hoard. Yes, you want to have some savings and stuff. I believe in having a savings account, and that's part of what I teach and stuff. But at the same time, it's a tool to help you build something, tool to help you fix something, just like a screwdriver in my toolbox to help me fix my car, per se. It's a tool, it's a resource. And if you look at it correctly, utilize it correctly, then it makes a huge difference in your life.
All right, so now I have a question. When I grew up, I actually lived the rich dad, poor dad life, because my mother was the poor sister, and my aunt was the rich sister. So I actually lived that whole book. And for me, I always had a poor thought process on money. I always had that poor mindset. I have always had that poverty mindset up until recently. And for some reason, people that have poverty mindset go more into debt and more bankruptcy than the people that have the abundance mindset. So talk to us about the difference between poverty mindset and abundance mindset.
So, not to get too deep into it, but your brain is like a magnet. If you have thoughts of poverty, then that's what you're going to see. Or as Ed Milet talks about, the reticular activating system, or RAS, if I got that correctly.
Yep.
If you go buy a new, brand new blue Honda Civic or whatever, or a red Corvette, then you're driving down the freeway. That's all you're going to see, because that's what your mind sees. It's going to attract, it's going to sense those things more. It's going to be more aware of things, so if you have the poverty mindset, it's going to look for more ways to keep you in that same boat, or same with abundance. It's going to look for more ways to be abundance. Another example would be, again, how you look at money and how you use it. If you mentioned Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's a great book. In a poverty mindset, you see the book costs $25. Oh no, now that $25 is gone. Oh no, how am I'm not going to get that back. But if you change it and say, okay, this $25 is going to help me figure out something to make me $100,000. It's going to help me become more aware or educate me on something where I can apply that and utilize that to make me $100,000 or whatever. So having those different mindsets will bring a like-minded thing, and then you have to be aware of how to recognize those. Am I using this properly? Am I looking at it? If I spend $50, is that money gone? Or do I have something in return that's far more valuable? If I put this out there, I'm going to get a lot more back than what I put out.
And just talking about that, talking about mindset, because that's what me and you, I think we kind of go along the same lines. And, especially if we're, in contact with Mr. Ed Milet, he's always talking about mindset. Everything is mindset. But, a lot of people that are struggling, it's because of, long-term success is not sexy. It's kind of like, if you ever look at, say somebody like Mr. Buffett, he's in the same house since 1954. He eats breakfast the same day, same place every day, pays cash for everything. He doesn't invest in sexy things. I don't really think that Warren Buffett's like, wow, I think I need to get an NFT picture of myself. So a lot of people, I think, get so wrapped up in trying to get involved in stuff sexy, like, say, crypto, NFTs. They kind of are worried about they're worried about that than they are more about paying a little bit of your credit card down or putting a little bit of money in the bank in case of a rainy day. So please talk about how sometimes investing is not the sexy thing to do, but over the long haul, it's worth it.
So yeah, and I'll start by pointing out, or I'll ask the question: what's success? What's sexy? Because my definition of success is different than yours. My definition of what's sexy is different than yours. And something else that is easy to fall into a trap is caring what other people think. Yes, if you have mentors and family and stuff, you want to acknowledge that, but maybe it's not the best advice for what you're trying to do. Maybe it's not the most helpful. The intentions are probably there, but maybe what Bob down the street thinks isn't going to improve your life, if that makes sense. As Ed Milet says, you're giving too much credit to Taxi Driver #2 and not being the main star in your movie. So you need to define what success is. You need to define what your goal is. Warren Buffett's investment choices are not the same as my own. His outcome that he's looking for may not be the same as my own. So are you looking for Warren Buffett? Money-wise, maybe yes, but investment-wise or lifestyle-wise, maybe no. So define that and really think about what advice you're accepting and what advice you're taking, what you're letting influence your decisions. Is it Instagram? Oh, he's got this. Oh, she's got that. Is it your neighbors? Well, you should do this. You should get a job with a 401k and retire in 25 years and blah, 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 blah. And I'm certainly not knocking that, but maybe that's not who you are or where you're going.
But now we have to admit, things are changing. I'm moving over, and I think so is Ed, moving a lot of stuff over to the digital age. A lot of jobs are not going to be there. You're not going to get 25 years of gold watch, and then you're going to be able to retire. So, say if, like my avatar, his name is Craig, 45-year-old male, father of 3, maybe bought a house, but now he wants to start, getting ready for retirement 20, 25 years down the road. What are some of the early steps that he can start taking to start learning how to invest without going crazy and buying stuff that he has no idea and no business of getting involved in buying? Because you see all these people in my inbox at least 20 times a day, buy crypto and all that stuff. So what are some of the basics of investing that a person can do just starting out?
Again, narrow down what you want to achieve. If you've got the investing budget for $100,000 in retirement, then that's going to be different than if you're trying to reach 10 million in retirement in that same time frame. Which I'm not saying you can't do. You just gotta maybe implement some other steps along the way. Bring up another side hustle, for example, or maybe work for an extra 3 or 5 years and dump all that money into your investment. How, if you are investing like in the stock market, I don't know too much directly in the stock market, but how much risk do you want to take? Do you want to be in a high risk thing, and get the potential of the higher rewards, but also the potential of the higher losses? Or do you want to be more conservative, more secure kind of thing? So defining that, looking at those options, seeing what you have available right now and what you need to do to make your goal a reality.
All right. Now, like I said, ever since, Ed started talking about, I've been following him, I guess, for the last three years heavily. And he always goes back and talks about, mindset. And the people you hang out with the most. They say if you hang out with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the sixth. So talk to us about some, they say that eagles don't fly with chickens. And I think it's true. You know what I'm saying? So talk to us about, sometimes, trying to upgrade your circle. So you can, because if you're the smartest guy in your circle, you need a bigger circle. So talk to us a little bit about upgrading your mindset and also upgrading your circle.
Yeah. You could start, who do you know that's doing what you want to be? What circle do you want to be in? Who do you know that's in that circle or knows someone that's in that circle? Maybe your circle's right here and their circle's over here, but maybe somebody that's kind of in both circles, or and start getting to know them a little more, or hanging out with them more. Offer to take them to lunch and pick their brain for a few minutes, see if they're willing to do that. We talk about books. What books are they reading? What books, we've mentioned Ed Mylett several times. What books is Ed reading? What books is Gary Vee reading? What books is Warren Buffett reading? And like I mentioned before, don't hold back because it's $50. Don't think of it as, oh no, the $50 is gone for those books. Think of it as an investment that you're going to get much more value out of than that $50. So start with simple. You can go to the library and check out some books. You can go to Ed's YouTube channel or Gary Vee's YouTube channel or your YouTube channel. There's lots of free resources. And I even did a video, and I'm sure there's others, that explains and tells how there's some value in free. Because oftentimes if it's free, we disregard the value of it.
Yeah.
And that's because oftentimes when it's free, you get what you pay for. It's not valuable at all. But there are some things that are free that are very valuable. So if you find some of those, start watching those, and then it'll start drawing you to more like-minded things, more like similar things. You start reading those books, and then somebody will, hey, you should try this book.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty soon you'll get invited to, hey, we're got this networking thing going on. Or, we're doing this thing and somebody's speaking at this conference, tickets are $50. I'll pick you up an hour before or whatever. There are some simple steps to get started that'll help you get to those other circles that you want to be in.
Well, and for me, what I started to do, because I walk every day. I try to get an hour and a half of cardio a day in. And for a while I was listening to music and I'm like, but I'm not getting anything out of the music. So what I did is I downloaded Audible, and now I'm listening to Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins for like the third time. But when I'm walking, I'm getting the knowledge, and it's only $15 a month. A lot of people, if they'll spend that on breakfast, and I think a lot of people, I think it was maybe Ed might have said it, or somebody on his show, he said somebody is willing to pay $1,000 for a smartphone, but they are not willing to go take a 3-day course to become smart.
Yeah, I've seen those memes, and they're right on. It says, smartphone $1,000 too much, or perfect, or whatever. Seminar $1,000 too much, and it lists a bunch of different things. But yeah, Audible is a great resource. I've got several books, and it's in my pocket. I've got wireless headphones, so however works for you. Put it on a speaker, simple things like that when I'm driving in my truck. I still listen to radio and stuff, but not nearly as much as I used to.
I think I've stopped listening to radio because I'd rather just throw on something that I can learn from. Now we're going to talk about what you do, your business. Now, being in the company of somebody like Ed Mylett, what is that like, and what kind of vibes does he throw off, and what kind of person is he like when it's real life, just sitting down and talking?
So So for me, was scary as all get out at first. I'm like, who am I to think I can be talking to Ed Milet kind of thing, but you'll find that they're not like that. They're wanting to help you. They're wanting to pull you up to where they are. They're wanting to have you experience what they're experiencing. They're wanting to mentor. That's why Ed's doing all these YouTube videos.
Yeah.
He wants to help you, and you can tell that he's passionate about it. He doesn't just do it as a hobby or a day job. Okay, 5 o'clock, I'm done kind of thing, clock out. He wants to, and same with Gary and Tony, and and a lot of times, many times, those costs that you pay for a seminar, many times, I'm not saying it for everybody, but go just to cover the cost of their expenses. Yes, they do get some paid, but a lot of that sometimes just goes to the building or the audio video equipment and the staff of the building sort of thing, but it's not like they're always doing it for the money. They're not in it for the money. They're in it because they enjoy it, because they want to help others, because that's who they are.
So talk to us about your company, what you do, and possibly how we can get involved with your services.
So I'm a independent contractor with World Financial Group. I am a financial representative. I help people, understand what money is, understand how to utilize it, how to view it properly and utilize it properly, and then help people know what tools they have access to. There's some investment tools, retirement tools that many people aren't even aware that are out there. So I help them know what that is and help them be able to utilize those tools to get where they want better and faster. I often use the analogy of, if you're digging a ditch with a shovel and you have no idea that there's a backhoe 10 feet away full of gas ready to go. So that's what I do. I show you where the backhoe is, and I show you how to use it. What all the buttons do, what all the levers do.
So what, where I live, I'm in New Jersey. We have a lot. I think we're going back down into lockdown, I think, because of the whole COVID and Omicron and all that other crap. And a lot of people are going to have a lot of time on their hands. So, if I ask somebody to do something in 7 days, they're pretty much never going to get to it. But if I ask somebody to take an actionable step in the next 24 hours, they're more likely to do it. So if somebody out there is listening, like I was, broke, busted, and disgusted a couple years ago, and finding out that my month runs out at the end of my money, what is something somebody can do in the next 24 hours to start to get some help and some clarity in their financial life?
Just in their household, they can, go through like a deep dive of their finances, and find out exactly where the money's coming from. For example, one of my clients was paying $50 a month for cell phone service that she no longer uses. So you can go through and figure out exactly where all those dollars are going for, and then allocate those, basically create a budget. You could reach out to me. I'll give you my phone number, my website. I got some great recommendations. If you want someone that's nearby, more in person, I can do things virtually across the country, so a couple things like that.
So then how do we find you? How do we get in touch with you?
So email and cell phone are probably the best. I can 801-597-0063. That's my cell phone. You can call me or text me, or kennyingersoll@gmail.com. My website, my main website is ingersollenterprises.weebly.com, and that's got the links to all my other stuff. So There's 3 ways right there you can get a hold of me. Texting is probably the fastest, just yep, that's probably the fastest, but if email works better for you or whichever.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Kenny, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out. I know we've been talking about getting together for a while, but our schedules have been so great, so crazy. But thank you so much. Guys, if you're struggling with your finances, please get yourself in order, because once you start getting your finances in order, your opportunities open up. Like once you know that you have, like I moved to New Jersey with a 400 credit score, and I couldn't give them paid. They wouldn't accept my cash when I wanted to buy a car. But now I have an over 800 credit score. I can just walk in, sign, and drive out, no money down, lowest. So people, if you're struggling with finances, if you're struggling to get your credit straight, reach out to Kenny. Make sure that you talk to him. We got his phone number and his email, and I'll be putting that in the links. So I just want to say, Kenny, thank you for everything. Thank you for all that you do. When you do see Ed, tell him I love him and I appreciate him. So, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you get in touch with Kenny. And, guys, remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is but up. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the flip.